The story begins with Abby Russell at a nightclub, narrating to the audience about her self-appointed mission to eliminate unfaithful men, whom she considers scum. She takes great pleasure in her work and demonstrates this by slicing a man's femoral artery before throwing him off the club's rooftop. The next day, Abby attends a graduation ceremony for Danny Rogers, a nurse she has been mentoring. She congratulates Danny and meets her mother and stepfather, Larry Cook. Despite all her preparation, Danny struggles on her first day as a nurse and faces harsh criticism from Dr. Morris for failing to react quickly in an emergency. Abby watches with contempt, fully aware that Dr. Morris is a sadist who enjoys tormenting new nurses. Abby's irritation deepens when Danny turns to her paramedic boyfriend, Steve, for comfort instead of confiding in her. She is secretly pleased when Danny's conversation with Steve ends poorly due to an ongoing argument about Danny's reluctance to move in with him. Danny explains her hesitation, revealing that she doesn't trust her stepfather enough to leave her mother alone with him. This suspicion is confirmed later when Abby and Danny witness Larry having an affair while heading to a nightclub. The sight leaves Danny shaken, making her more willing to drink that night. Unbeknownst to her, Abby spikes her drink with drugs, leading to a hazy night where she engages in sexual encounters with Abby and strangers. The following morning, Danny wakes up in Abby's apartment and, despite Abby's attempts to convince her to stay, insists on leaving for work. After she departs, Abby downloads photos from the previous night before heading to a psychiatrist, who is revealed to be Larry. Using her charm, Abby seduces Larry by claiming she has an addiction to men, subtly referencing a troubled past with her father. Larry gives her his phone number, seemingly confirming her suspicion that he is unfaithful. Later, she intercepts him as he leaves his office and persuades him to give her a ride. Once inside his car, she injects him with vecuronium bromide, paralyzing him, and shifts the vehicle into reverse, ensuring his death in a crash. After learning of her stepfather's death, Danny turns to Abby for comfort, but their conversation takes a dark turn when she shares plans to move in with her boyfriend. Abby, enraged, spitefully remarks that she hopes Larry's genitals were mutilated in the accident. Danny freezes, realizing she had never mentioned how Larry had died, and hurriedly leaves. Furious at being caught, Abby shifts her focus from helping Danny to destroying her. She begins planting seeds of doubt in Detective John Rogan's mind, by manipulating him into believing that Danny is mentally unstable and dangerously obsessed with her. The next day, Abby meets Rachel Owens, a cheerful new human resources employee who casually mentions that Abby looks just like a girl she once knew who was sent to a mental institution. Seeing an opportunity, Abby invites Rachel out for drinks. Later, she torments Danny by calling her on Skype and showing her a video of Rachel being injected with chemicals. Frightened, Danny rushes to the police, but Detective Rogan dismisses her claims, making it seem like she's just obsessed with Abby and lashing out over unreturned affection. He presents photos Abby took as evidence, which Steve also sees when Danny calls him for support. This leads to an argument between them, and Steve storms off. Desperate, Danny turns to Dr. Morris for help, but he takes advantage of the situation and tries to blackmail Abby into sleeping with him. Abby pretends to agree, but it's all a setup. She turns on him and brutally kills him. That same night, she knocks Rachel unconscious and drags her away to her fate. Meanwhile, Danny follows up on Rachel's comment about the mental institution, hoping to find answers. She learns about Sarah Price, a girl who killed her father after witnessing his infidelity and violent abuse toward her mother. She discovers that Sarah was taken in by a nurse named Abigail Russell, realizing that Abby is actually Sarah, having stolen her caretaker's identity. Danny tries to warn Rachel, only to find her phone left in her car. Moments later, Abby calls, implying that Steve will be her next victim. Racing to the hospital, Danny and Abby engage in a brutal fight. The hospital staff intervenes, but Abby snaps and goes on a killing spree, locking herself inside a lab. Danny and Steve manage to break in, but Abby, hiding among the patients, ambushes them, stabbing Steve in the neck before escaping. She flees home to grab supplies, but is confronted by Detective Rogan, who tries to arrest her. Seeing her neighbor Jared watching, she pretends Rogan is a robber. Jared rushes in and strikes Rogan with a bat, killing him instantly. When he realizes the truth, he panics, but Abby manipulates him into hiding the body by convincing him that Rogan was corrupt and that he'll be treated as a cop killer if they don't cover it up. In the final scene, Abby is shown assuming a new identity at another hospital, this time as human resources employee Rachel Owens. What do you think would happen if Danny had managed to expose Abby before she could escape? Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.